morning and welcome to the news. For the next 90 minutes, there will be different parts of the country following up on stories making the rounds and developing new leads on unfolding events. As usual, our third eye will be firmly fixed on issues affecting Nigeria and Nigerians. Tonight, the world marks World Drugs Day as Nigeria pinpoints the dangers of abuse and the vulnerabilities of its young population. On health, cases of cholera on the increase. Ogun State records more numbers. On security, Navy intercepts unregistered 780,000-litre capacity vessel in Nigerian waters. On education, our correspondent has a special report on students' fear of mathematics and why some of the reasons simply do not add up. We also have our regular packages on environment, disaster management, agriculture, politics, and of course, Benny Adams will be on hand to mind his business and the course of the bulletin. As we always say on this bit, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So let's run the shift together. I'm Henry John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. Let's hit the road now as Nigeria is initiating more programs that will improve access to proper use of drugs, prevention of illicit flow, early detection and treatment services for addicts, all geared towards addressing the current national and global challenges of drug abuse. This was contained in a message by the Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Muhammad Ali Pate, at a news conference in Abuja to commemorate the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking 2024. Olusheye Adiagbo has the details.
World Health Organization report showed that in 2018 drug use survey, Nigeria accounts for more than 14 million drug users with the capacity to only treat about 10,000 persons with drug use disorder annually. Also, World Drug Report of 2023 shows 200,000 people in the country abuse drugs through injection. Government is now coordinating several efforts to combat drug use through collaboration.
We all know that the control of use of psychoactive substances is a difficult one. We will all succeed together, working together. The Ministry of Health and Social Welfare is planning to hold a ministerial conference that will bring all stakeholders together and rethink prevention and control of psychoactive substances in Nigeria.
We also acknowledge the effort of the government, that prevention effort has been done. With this occasion, we also would like to inform that we will continue to be supporting the government.
These key players involved in fighting the psychoactive drug menace want prevention programs that will target effective treatment.
By empowering individuals with knowledge, skills, and resources, prevention programs can help equip them to make informed decisions about their health and well-being.
The International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking is marked every year, and the theme for this year is "The Evidence is Clear, Invest in Prevention." In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
It's cheering to tell you that Nigeria will remain obstinate in turning the tides against drug abuse to safeguard the well-being of present and future generations through coordinated countermeasures as contained in President Bola Tinubu's message at an event to mark 2024 World Drug Day. Again, Olusheye Adiagbo reports that MTN Foundation is supporting the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, to ensure that the upward trajectory of drug control efforts in the country is sustained through series of engagements.
The global challenge of drug abuse and illicit trafficking continue to take toll on millions of lives worldwide, and communities are grappling with the consequences. In UNODC's report, drug use prevalence currently is 3 times higher in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu's response explains vigor injected into the country's drug control efforts, and the 2024 World Drug Day theme resonates national readiness to redouble the cause.
I urge each one of you to join hands in this noble cause. Investing in prevention today will yield dividends of a healthier, safer tomorrow.
While cannabis remains the main drug sourced, trafficked and used in Nigeria, Nigeria's Drug Law Enforcement Agency is proud of its record of achievements in mounting an unprecedented criminal justice response to drug trafficking.
Nigeria will continue to contribute positively in the global effort to contain the consequences of illicit substances. As we commemorate the World Drug Day, let us renew our commitment to prevention.
Drug use in Nigeria is a public health crisis which cannot wait. It is now the time to make prevention the priority.
The meeting of global partners and national players involved in fighting the psychoactive drug menace featured the launch of Save Our Families campaign, and for the chairman, MTN Foundation, the years of support to the NDLEA through its anti-substance abuse program has helped in discouraging young minds from indulging in this act.
We recognize that it was not only serious within Nigeria, it's everywhere. And most countries have devised a way of taking care of their own challenges. So we as a board said we will kickstart efforts being made to address this problem of drug abuse, especially among the younger generation.
Last weekend, the MTN Anti-Substance Abuse Program led partners in anti-advocacy work in the streets of Abuja, the nation's capital, to create awareness on the dangers of substance abuse, attracting many, especially youths. MTN Anti-Substance Abuse Program, ASAP, is now resolute in the quest to save youths from the menace of drug abuse. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Feeling on top of the world is the best when the vibes are positive. At a time when this is misconstrued with negative energy and vibes, danger increases in the society, especially when drugs and substance are involved. Let's find out more from our correspondent, Ayodeji Makinde.
One of the main issues most heads of governments globally are tackling is drug abuse. This hydra-headed monster continues to attract more followers on a daily basis. This trend is a major concern to all, including the Young Entrepreneurs and Innovators Foundation. The non-governmental organization, in collaboration with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, is advocating for balanced, effective drug policy.
More worrisome is that drug abuse is common among undergraduates and secondary school students, youths, commercial bus drivers, farmers, and sex workers.
Lead paper presenter Mabel Ifoma Oyemelukwe, a professor of French and African literature from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, highlights the fundamental causes, attractions, sustenance, and consequent effects of drugs and substance abuse.
Some people are making their living out of it, selling hard drugs. They're all over the place. They're also taking, some of them are also hooked on to drugs. Serious law that will put fear into people and make them stop that kind of nonsense. That's what we need in Nigeria.
As the countdown to 2025 edition of World Drugs Day starts, more beyond statistics would be required to gauge the continuous fight against drugs and substance abuse. In Abuja, Ayodeji Makinde, NTA News.
Again, I got Ayodeji Makinde to give us the fact sheet on the war against drugs.
All right. Well, it's quite interesting to know that as the fight against drug trafficking and substance abuse is ongoing, it is noteworthy to take a look at strides recorded with arrests and seizures in the last 3 years as warning shots to those involved in the business and those about to begin. Now, let's take a look at from January 2021 to May 2024, a total of 52,901 people have been arrested, including 48 barons. Now, let's take a look at those convicted for offenses related to substance and drug abuse, 9,034. A total of 7 million. Now, this is quite big. 7,615,906.21 kilogram of substances have been seized. That's the equivalent of 7,615 tons. Now, let's move forward again and take a look at cash and drugs seized. That it's a total worth of 958 billion naira. How about cannabis farm business in the country? Well, for those who are still involved in expanding the landmass of their business when it comes to having a cannabis farm, remember, 1,057,333.48 hectares have since been destroyed. That's a warning shot. If you know, for those who have been cancelled and rehabilitated, the standard 33,453 drug users who are still undergoing rehabilitation. Now, also in this period under review, World Anti-Doping Agency lectures in schools and others, including ministries, departments, and agencies, have taken place 6,423 times, while assets forfeited to the federal government remain 948 houses, vehicles, and other assets. Let's come back to the year 2024 and take a look at strides so far between January and May 2024. 6,978 arrests, 249,107.11 kilogram of seizures, 1,599 persons have been convicted, while cannabis farms are still being destroyed. So far in the year 2024, we have 34.62 hectares destroyed so far, while 3,148 persons have been cancelled and also undergoing rehabilitation. Now, while the menace is with us, the fight to intensify and also protect the vulnerable access to these illicit drugs and reduce the scourge to the barest minimum at land, air, and sea borders will still be ongoing.
All right, many thanks, Ayo, for that beautiful update. Of course, those numbers say a lot, and I have joining me right here in the studio the Secretary to the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, Shedrack Haruna. Many thanks for joining us.
Thank you, viewers. I'm delighted to be here.
All right, now, taking a cue from the theme of this year's commemoration, how aware would you say are the vulnerable to the unrelenting efforts by those in the game to initiate them into drug and substance abuse?
Well, thank you. I think this is very crucial to the war against drug abuse because the awareness is developing and we're trying to beef up the awareness through our advocacy program, which is called War Against Drug Abuse. It's a community-based program which is all-inclusive and the whole society approach is adopted. And what we're doing currently is to ensure that we have, at the community level, using the community leaders as well as local influencers and in schools and secondary and tertiary institutions to ensure that we upscale the awareness process to enable those vulnerable groups to be aware of the impact of drug use. Of course, the statistic just given by IODG is something that is so clear to everyone, that the impact of drug use is devastating and it requires a whole society approach, and everyone needs to actually come out and be on, put hands on the deck to ensure that the message is made to everyone who is vulnerable. And this is what we're doing through our WADA program, War Against Drug Abuse.
Yeah, thank you, Shedrack. Of course, NDLEA is doing a lot, but if you look at statistics, about 2 decades ago, we had more adults involved in drug and substance abuse. But these days, we have younger people. In fact, if you get to primary and secondary schools, you find them already involved in drugs. What would you say is responsible?
Well, I think it has always been with the youth trying to experiment so many things. And of course, with globalization, you would expect that whatever is happening anywhere in the world is also happening in Nigeria now. What you see anything that's happening in the US or anywhere in the world, you see it today in Nigeria. So globalization is part of it. And of course, peer pressure is also part of what is driving the young ones into drug use. Of course, from primary school, we have seen the increasing use of drug, as well as secondary schools and tertiary institutions. And that is why the Minister of Education this morning, during the grand finale of the 2024 World Drug Day, mentioned that drug tests to become a policy of the Federal Ministry of Education. And we want to see this through, because if the drug test is being used, that would dissuade so many youths from going into drugs use, because peer pressure accounts for a very huge aspect of it in schools. And if drug test is adopted as a way to ensure that students are being tested when they're coming in or when they're when they're returning to school, then of course that would dissuade so many of them. And of course, we also want to extend it to the NYSC for the call-up laters. We want coppers who are being called up to also be tested for drugs before they're being deployed to their various primary assignments. And this is a way to dissuade the use of drugs by the youth.
A beautiful initiative there. Now, the agency says drug test kits are a necessity for every home, school and offices. How accessible are these kits to those that need them?
Well, it's accessible. The agency has actually is collaborating with the producer to ensure that we have the one that's fit for purpose. We have the one that cannot be faulted. And we have produced and amassed so many of them and distributed to all our commands across the country. So what we intend to do is save our families, is to ensure that every family will have these kits at home. You have the kits when you suspect your child, whether it's into drugs or anything, you can just do just a simple test to conduct what type of drug is on. And the essence of it is to find out at a very early stage for a proper intervention to be done. And that means if you know your child is taking cocaine or is taking, then you seek remedy immediately. That is the essence of these safer families. So we intend to do that. And also the aspect of it for schools is to ensure that students also who are on drugs will be detected so early and win out of it to enable them continue with a normal academic life. Because if you leave them for a long time, foster, will expect that they will never be useful to themselves and then be a menace in the school environment. So that is the essence of this drug test kit, which was launched today. So the drug test kit was launched last year, but we have the Safer Family launched today, meaning that every home should have these kits. And we have the kits in all our commands across the country.
All right, many thanks, Shadrach Haruna, for joining us on the conversation. Of course, we wish NDLEA the best in its fight against drug and substance abuse.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me here.
All right.
Grateful.
So let's take a look at other news now. The Customs Wives Association has joined the vanguard in a fight against drug abuse, taking advocacy to secondary schools within the Federal Capital Territory to sensitize young minds against early addiction. Kunle Adiyeye reports that the event was to mark the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking.
They are vibrant and ambitious, but one act, drug abuse, can make them derail. Consequently, Customs Wives Association embarked on sensitization drive to govern junior secondary schools in Area 11 and Karo to guide the students properly. From the testimony of a drug abuse victim, Tegia Omogo, president of Customs Wives Association, is quite unequivocal when telling the students to give priority to an intelligent life and give a distance to social life.
They are still growing. If they are aware about it now, it will be better for us as a nation and as parents. And we at COA, we are mothers, we are nurturers, we are the pillars of the society. And that's why we have collaborated with Bridge and Bond Development Initiative. We believe that if we teach them, we create awareness. The most effective way of prevention is to create awareness, create knowledge, sensitize children.
Since 2018, we've been in this game, preaching about drug abuse and the menace of drug abuse in our society. This year, we found a worthy partner in COA, and they have wholeheartedly decided to support this venture.
It can lead to liver damage. It can lead to chronic bleeding and cancer.
Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Now, no fewer than 25 suspected cases of cholera have been recorded in Ogun State, with one person confirmed dead. Ogun State government says it is adopting a multifaceted approach to contain further spread of the disease with technical support from the federal government. Hakim Jimo has the details.
Briefing journalists on the measures put in place to contain the further spread of cholera in Ogun State, the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Komi Koka, notes that emergency operation centers have been activated across the state in response to cases detected. Dr. Koka, who identifies intake of contaminated food and drinks, unhygienic sanitary condition, and poor personal hygiene as some of the risk factors, assures that the Ogun State government is doing everything possible to contain the spread of the disease, while the federal government, through the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC, is providing technical assistance through the supply of protective gears and other consumables to health officials.
The prevention and control of cholera is a multifaceted approach. It is key to have a combination of surveillance, portable water, sanitation and hygiene. Social mobilization from the public. We expect you to have proper personal hygiene, particularly hand hygiene.
Heads of other ministries, departments and agencies in Ogun State unanimously agreed that discouraging open defecation and provision of potable water will go a long way in preventing the further spread of cholera in the state. In Abeokuta, Hakim Jimo, NTA News.
Let's take a break. Stay with us. Thank you for staying. The federal government and its partners have flagged off a 3-day medical outreach as well as distribution of food and relief items for vulnerable groups at Piwayi community in the FCT. Ruth Aguela reports that the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Delu Bulus Yakubu, says the initiative is in line with the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu to bring succor to the downtrodden across the country.
A ray of hope beckons for residents of Piwayi community in the Federal Capital Territory. It is a day like no other for them. Clustered in their numbers, from the young to the old, they were filled with anxiety. It is the flag off of medical outreach and the distribution of food and relief items targeted at the vulnerable groups. An initiative by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Delu Bulus Yakubu, in collaboration with a non-governmental organization and other MDAs.
If the government can continue with such kind of program, it will be very good.
The next one, Francis.
Scholarships was also presented to primary school pupils as part of federal government's commitment in promoting inclusion and reduce the number of out-of-school children across the country.
We have the younger ones who need to be brushed up and returned back to school. We are doing both. And our target is that by the time this government is through, we should be able to clear most, if not all of them, from the streets.
That is why the SSA Humanitarian Affairs is doing this. And this is just kickstarting. This will be the next thing you will begin to see all over the country.
Let me commend the organizers of this event, particularly Honorable Delu, for trying to reach out to the downtrodden. Shows exactly what Mr. President has in mind towards reaching out to make sure that virtually every citizen of this Nigeria is educated.
In line with renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he said no one should be left behind. That's why we're here. And we're in this world for just 3 reasons: for humanity, to serve God. And this is just the flag off. We're going to the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria, which is coming up next week.
So this administration
has made it clear from day one they're going to be inclusive, they're going to be left aside. That's why the president carefully selected those who run with his agenda and leave a program that be sustainable.
The president is really interested in the children. He's making a lot of plans for the children, which will unfold soon.
The medical outreach is to last 3 days in the community. It is hoped that the gesture will rekindle hope amongst Nigerians. In Abuja, Ruth Aguwele, NTA News.
Nigeria can flourish when its media organs are free to report the truth without fear of retribution and to equally hold those in authority accountable. This progressive spirit is what the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, reassured the Nigerian media and her citizens under Tinubu's administration. Salihu Gwanara tells us more.
A book launch in Abuja that attracted top echelon of the media industry in Nigeria was an opportunity for the government spokesperson to speak about press freedom as a panacea for democracy.
It is crucial that information disseminated to the public is accurate, it is balanced, it is devoid of sensationalism, and it is also extremely in the national interest. There is no use when you report something that you know will not help to advance the cause of unity and development of your dear country. You are not doing journalism if what you do is to bring down your country or to throw the society or the community into chaos.
He equally acknowledged that the 5-point agenda being implemented by the ministry he supervises as a game changer.
On top of the pyramid is to restore trust, because ultimately the crux of trust is unarguably the ability to sustain the truth at all times. You cannot earn any trust if you yourself are not truthful about what you do and what you say.
The minister shared a similar vision with stakeholders that the Nigerian media require this kind of intellectual property. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Meanwhile, Nigeria will continue to play the leading role in propagating public relations practices that will strengthen global network and add value to socio-economic transformation worldwide. This formed part of discussions when the Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, played host to the President, Global Alliance of Public Relations Practitioners, Professor Justin Green, and his counterpart, the African Public Relations Association, Carney, on a courtesy visit. The visit, led by the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, Dr. Ike Neliako, is part of activities marking the Diamond Anniversary celebration of NIPRO.
This administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will continue to provide a enabling environment for everybody within the communication industry, the fair practice itself, to thrive in this country. And I know, and you know, that the president, being a Democrat himself, is always desirous of ensuring that every democratic principle is being put into place so that Nigeria will even advance its cause for democracy.
You are at the forefront. You are leading the profession. And that is not just in Nigeria. It's not just in Africa. It's around the world. So I applaud the Minister for his commitment. I applaud the President of NIPR.
This was, for the longest time, the only country in Africa that had a law that professionalized public relations. It was Nigeria that started it.
They are here to support Nigeria. They are here to support NIPR. They are here to promote public relations to the Nigerian community because they know that the only missing point in any nation is their inability to capture the essence and practice of public relations.
The President, Global Alliance of Public Relations Practitioners, acknowledged Nigeria's leading role in promoting public relations practice as an eye-opener to the world. Nigerian Navy ship NNS Jubilee has arrested an unregistered empty vessel suspected to be used for illegal activities in its maritime domain. Kelvin Samuel reports that the vessel and its crew members are currently in the custody of NNS Jubilee, pending further investigation.
In here is a huge wooden vessel with 3 standard engines and capacity to ferry away 780,000 liters of crude oil at once. With no form of registration or documentation, operatives of the Nigerian Navy ship NNS Jubilee believe the movement of the vessel is suspicious, leading to the arrest.
We felt that vessel is also a threat to the maritime safety of our dear nation. Because number one, there was no form of any safety lights as per what you expect on board a vessel of that size. And the vessel had 3 inbuilt engines of a Mantrac made. So it is self-propelled. So it's quite a very large vessel that could move on its own. But yet, no safety measures or safety arrangement on it.
The commander NNS Jubilee, Martins Fakruga, while speaking to Newsmain on the arrest, says it is a product of the renewed synergy between the Nigerian Navy and other sea operatives who are working hand in hand to ensure safety on the Nigerian waterways.
The Chief of Naval Staff has given us a strategic directive that we all know he has zero tolerance for any form of criminality or crude oil theft within our waterways. This thing has been passed down to us, and it's our duty to ensure that we carry it out to the latter.
The vessel and 8 crew members were arrested on the 23rd of June 2023 in Uyo. Kelvin Samuel, NTA News.
The Commandant of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, Abuja State Command, Usman Ishaq Alpha Darai, has frowned at the unwholesome activities being perpetrated by some men of the underworld at a mining site in the state. The commandant stated this during the arrest of the 2 suspects for their alleged involvement in illegal mining and selling of chippings. Chika Okorie reports.
Commandants revealed that the arrest of the suspects became expedient after the acclaimed owner of the mining site, located at Umunochi Council area of Abia State, wrote the call on the alleged unauthorized activities.
The command has successfully arrested a Chinese national and 1 other person for operating a quarry illegally on a site belonging to another entity named Jimlois Nigeria Limited in Umunochi local government area of Abia State. This illegal act was uncovered following a complaint by the original owner of the site that the Chinese people have illegally occupied his legally assigned site.
Commandant Afadere hinted that the nation's extractive industry would no longer be shortchanged under any disguise.
The Corps has made significant effort to stem the tide of all former criminalities in the country, especially in the extractive industries, which gave rise to the introduction of the special mining marshals within the Corps to support government's drive to sanitize the sector.
Considering government's effort towards boosting the economy and ameliorating the sufferings of many, the NSCDC commandant reiterated the need for greater collaboration to secure critical national assets and infrastructure in parts of the state. In Umahia, Chika Okore, NTA News.
Elsewhere, mixed reactions through the proposed amendment of the Police Act, proposing review of the service years of police personnel from 35 to 40 years in service and 60 to 65 years as retirement age. At a 1-day public hearing on a bill for an act to amend the Nigeria Police Act 2020 and related matters, the House Committee on Police Affairs received submissions from divergent views. National Assembly correspondent Muhammad Rabiu Ali reports.
The public hearing came as a result of a bill sponsored by Speaker Tajuddin Abbas and moved by the Chairman House Committee on Police Affairs, Abubakar Maki Eleman. It aims at retaining experienced personnel and reducing the cost of training and recruiting new officers by increasing service years of those in service.
Extend the retirement age of police personnel from 60 to 65 years, or extension of service from 35 to 40 years, offer a wide range of benefits, from leverage experience, talent, and enhancing community relations to improve operational effectiveness and reduce costs.
If this bill is allowed to succeed, we will end up setting a bad precedent for other agencies such as the military and other paramilitary agencies who will also advocate for same.
Police personnel are usually recruited annually. At the point of entry, they are not of the same age. They do not retire at the same time. That is our observation. Therefore, there can be no question of depletion of experienced personnel in the Nigerian police force.
The extension of the service years of Nigerian police officers offers a unique perspective on the complexity of modern-day policing.
The retention of officers above 35 years of service or above 60 years of retirement would introduce a further blotting of the wage bill, which may destabilize the national economy.
Members of the committee acknowledged the submissions brought forward and promised to make judicious use of the recommendations in the interest of Nigerians.
Retaining experienced officers is crucial for maintaining institutional knowledge, enhancing operational effectiveness, and fostering a culture of professionalism within the police force.
It is critical to the development and strengthening of the Nigerian police force. As such, the committee cannot unilaterally decide on the proposed bill.
The committee is expected to report back to the House of Representatives for further deliberations. From the National Assembly, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
One of the beauties of separation of powers is the delineation of functions for the organs of government. This, however, is not mutually exclusive, as there are areas of convergence for these institutions of government. Bringing on board a new national minimum wage is one of such functions that involves both the executive and the legislature. In this report, Ignatius Nkwo highlights the stages of national minimum wage bill in the National Assembly.
Friday, 7th of June 2024 was the day Nigerian workers waited with bated breath in anticipation of a new minimum wage. The announcement was to come from the Presidential Tripartite Committee deliberating on the new wage. Eventually, at about 9:30 that night, the announcement was made.
I've agreed on a figure, 62,000.
10th of June 2024, the report of the committee was submitted to the President for further action. At this point, the recommendation of the committee is expected to be drafted into a bill and forwarded to the National Assembly as an executive bill.
Now, the letters are now taken to the two chambers. The communications are directly addressed to Senate President and the Speaker of the House. Now, both chambers will now read the content of the communication from the Office of the President to the hearing of all members at plenary. Now, that constitutes the first reading of the bill.
After first reading, it will go for a second reading, where it will be debated extensively in both chambers of the National Assembly and referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative scrutiny and input through public hearing. These inputs will be collated to form part of the report the committee will present on the floor at plenary. This is where the final amendments are made. The legislators may decide to pass the exact amount submitted by the President, increase or decrease it.
Our law, our powers give us the right to either increase or reduce. The processes that brought about this bill was almost a public hearing. The sitting of the organized labor, the private sector, government with the and then government, and then later on the 37 tripartite committee. Is almost like a public hearing.
Once the report has been adopted, the bill separately passes third reading at both chambers. If there are differences, a conference committee is constituted to harmonize the discrepancies, and the bill is forwarded to the President for assent.
it's a process that can be abridged and done within 1 or 2 days. The National Assembly could make it 200,000, and they have, or more, they have the right to do that. All the president would do is to veto the bill. That is to refuse to give assent to the bill. If the president so refuses to give his assent to sign the bill to become an act, the National Assembly could follow its process to accept or override the presidential veto.
Once the National Minimum Wage Bill receives presidential assent, it becomes binding on all employers of labor in both the public and private sectors. This is why these stakeholders were represented in the tripartite committee. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Looking at other issues now, the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Education, has commenced talks on issues of concern in tertiary institutions with leadership of the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Zenret Dingmun reports that what ought to be an inaugural biannual meeting of management and university-based unions in the Federal Ministry of Education and its agencies gave way for the talk.
In the present administration's desire to revamp Nigeria's education sector, always engage players in dialogue and avert the threats to education, the Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mamman, seized the opportunity to engage the body in an extended discussion behind closed doors. Both parties agreed that terms for discussions have been reached, as ASU had long awaited the opportunity for dialogue with the present administration on issues dear to them.
We'll be having, non-public meetings. We're having that. That's why we have this very cordial family relationship. So when there's an issue like this, we can sit down and talk to ourselves. There's no gap, no bridge at all, no obstacle, to having a conversation. But the important thing is that we have a shared understanding of the issues, and we have set in place the motion and the pathway for addressing them.
We have assignment to some people to look at, send 1 or 2 committees to also look at them, and then we have agreed on the way forward. Now our prayer is that this process should go the way it is, and let's resolve this issue as quickly as possible for the interest of our young men and women and for the interest of the nation.
ASU promised to brief its members as further discussions continue. In Abuja, Zenret Dingmun, NTA News.
There are critical areas of our everyday life that often go under the radar due to underreporting. Abuse of the elderly and neglect of senior citizens fall within this bracket. Lately, there has been some activities towards giving this category of persons social protection, while their rights are equally highlighted within the society. The Coalition of Societies for the Right of Older Persons in Nigeria marked the Day of Elderly Abuse in Abuja, with these issues discussed extensively. Deborah Bala Bobo has all the details.
Elder abuse is referred to as the cruel and violent treatment of the aged. It can be physical and emotional.
It is really it's frightening to age. We had to provide women with their children. We paid their school fees, we gave them food and everything. But my mother will be there calling for their attention. Nobody will answer.
Our problem gets more when we get old than when we are young. So what is the government doing about our health? What is the government doing about our welfare?
President Kosropin Dr. Eze Ajoku says even in Nigeria, where respect for elders is deeply rooted in the culture and traditions, elderly abuse is persistent in some communities. He urged government at all levels to prioritize the safety and well-being of older persons.
I believe that what we're doing today adds on to the consciousness of that awareness in our MDAs, and we believe that many of them will have cause to ask themselves, what am I doing about elder abuse.
For us in the NTA, as a public service broadcast outfit regarded as the authentic voice of the Nigerian government, with our reach that is truly unbeatable and influence in shaping public opinion, I believe that we have a vital role to play in this endeavor.
Following WHO records indicate that 1 in 6 older persons has experienced some form of abuse in the past year alone. Hence the need to take bold steps to break in this silence, as aging is a privilege and a journey that deserves full attention. Deborah Balagbobo, NTA News.
Let's pause and let some commercials breathe. Please remain tuned. Welcome back. The federal government has introduced an integrated export and import certification system for easy movement of agricultural produce in and out of the country. The certificate, which will be issued by the Nigeria Agricultural Quarantine Service, is also aimed at addressing issues associated with the rejection of Nigerian agricultural produce elsewhere. Musa Baba Aliyu reports.
By international standards, all agricultural produce and livestock meant for export must be certificated before leaving the country. And in Nigeria, the Agricultural Quarantine Service is saddled with the responsibility of certifying the produce going and coming into the country. The organization introduced an electronic platform for easy assessment and verification of produce.
Basically, what the system does is that traders who want to export agricultural commodities can apply for their phytosanitary certificates. The phytosanitary certificate is like a health certificate that states that a commodity leaving Nigeria to an importing country is free from pests and diseases that may prevent the commodity from being accepted in that country.
This is expected to facilitate trade and eradicate delay in the export of produce.
The formal process of issuing phytosanitary certificate, which used to be manual, is now moving to an electronic platform. So it makes it easier for them to be able to apply, it makes it faster for them, it makes it safer, and it makes it cheaper. So implementation is going to be a joint collaboration between us and our stakeholders to see that the process is implemented to the fullest.
It will enhance efficiency and accuracy in safeguarding the imports and exports of agricultural produce.
The government agencies therefore appeal to all Nigerians intending to travel with raw food out of the country to consult Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service for clearance. In Abuja, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Still talking agriculture, the status of Ebonyi State as an agrarian state is being harnessed by the federal government towards achieving its vision of making Nigeria food sufficient. This gave birth to the launch of an agricultural policy tagged "She Grows Her Food," geared towards empowering women farmers to be great contributors to this vision. Chinaza John reports.
Before the discovery of oil, agriculture was the mainstay of Nigeria's economy through the cultivation and export of different farm produce by states in the country. To revive the sector for enhanced and adequate food production for local and export consumption, governments at various levels have initiated and inaugurated different agri policies, one of which is the inauguration of She Grows Her Food program in Ebonyi State. The program, which targets women farmers with farm input, capacity building and financial empowerment, according to the state government, is to harness the ingenuity of women, especially as it concerns the state's renowned capacity and reputation in the agricultural sector.
She Grows Her Food initiative aimed at empowering women for food security in Nigeria. Agriculture remains the mainstream of economy, and as the bedrock of our economy, the sector, owing its value change, is laced with vast potentials for sustainable revenue, employment generation, and critical infrastructural development.
Inauguration of the program in Ebonyi State and the subsequent domestication of its policies is another giant stride towards reducing unemployment in the country.
Empowering women in agriculture is not just about ensuring food security.
It is about creating sustainable livelihood, reducing poverty, and fostering economic growth.
There was an exhibition of farm produce, distribution of farm inputs and modern tools of farming to further drive home the vision that Nigeria can achieve food sufficiency. In Abakaliki, Chinaza John, NTA News.
Now time to let Benny mind his business. Benny, it's over to you.
Thank you. Welcome to business. Amid global and domestic economic challenges and governance issues, speakers at a lecture on the present administration's scorecard say the government is steering the country towards greater heights through bold economic reforms. The conversation centered on policies and impacts with emphasis on output and prices, public finance, governance and institutions with 25 indicators.
This administration marks a turning point, raising the overall first-year performance, excelling in public finances, while the weakest point is output and prices, due to our over-dependence on dollars.
Let's stand together. Let's change the narrative. Let's redefine leadership, where there is love, there is no interest, there is no backbiting, but a way to resolve issues.
Actions that will give us results in the direction that the nation should move. When there are visionaries, they are like lone minds. Sometimes you feel like stoning them. Sometimes you feel like they are leading you to a path where there is no destination. But follow a visionary. Follow a man that has courage, for the destination of greatness is very sure.
Meanwhile, oil prices inched up on Wednesday, nearing their highest level in almost 2 months, driven by forecast for an eventual inventory drawdown during the third quarter peak summer demand season and geopolitical risks from the Middle East conflict. Brent crude oil futures rose 40 cents to $85.41 a barrel, while the U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 43 cents to $81.26 per barrel. And a quick look at the markets in Nigeria. Investors gained 94.95 billion naira as the oil share index appreciated by 0.17% to close at 99,385.44 basis points. A total of 276.3 million shares in 7,597 deals, corresponding to a market value of 4.120 billion naira were traded. Today's data shows 24% decline in volume, 33% decline in turnover, and 11% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 56.2 trillion naira. And on the aggregate, 122 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 35 gainers and 14 losers. Access Holdings recorded the highest volume of 45.3 million traded shares, followed by ICO Insurance, 24 million, and Guarantee Trust Holding 13.9 million. Well, that is business news. This extra continues.
Well, thanks, Benny, for the updates. Amidst the ever-changing prices of commodities in the markets, which is making it difficult for majority of buyers to afford food items, the federal government is exploring some avenues to make life easier for Nigerians. The recent among the efforts by the federal government is the market survey conducted by the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission to some markets in Kano State. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
Justina Egedu at the Galadima market to buy yam. She is, however, disappointed as her bargain is not enough to arrive at affordable rate as the cost is high.
When the thing is getting expensive, at least we buy 1-2. But today I came now, they are saying 1 tuber is 4,000, 5 is 10,000. So it's too expensive now. The masses cannot, I don't know, for me I cannot afford it, so I'm going.
Justina is among the many Nigerians battling with the ever-changing market price caused by the economic challenges.
There's no day you bring money into market, you'll not be happy with it. Every day I must spend 10,000 naira, and how much am I earning every day?
The market survey by stakeholders of the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission is among the steps taken to address the challenges and to promote fair business practices and protect the interests of consumers like Justina and Tajuddin, among other Nigerians.
As the high rise in the cost of food prices in this country, this is something that has been of major worry to the current government, because part of the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President is to make sure that Nigerians get a better deal. But so far, what we are getting is not what we bargained for.
The Commission will compile and hand over its market reports to augment the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu so that Justina and her likes will be able to afford meals and comfortably live their lives as Nigerians.
Land degradation has been reported to be one of the causes of most climate impacts man is facing today. With about 10 billion livelihoods dependent on land use, if aggressive land restoration is not undertaken before 2050, the land will vanish. This was one of the topical issues discussed at the 2024 World Desertification and Drought Day, organized by the Federal Ministry of Environment. Charles Alpha brings us details.
Desertification and drought are not just environmental issues. They are threats to our very existence and hope.
From the lips of these young school children comes a cry for a sustainable future, a future where land degradation is reversed and drought a thing of the past. Marked on the 17th of this month, the Federal Ministry of Environment decided to shift the commemoration of the 2024 World Desertification and Drought Day to enable more participation, with stakeholders, including students, lending their voices on the need to take responsibility for the environment.
We stand united in recognition of the immense importance of our land, not just as a valuable resource, but as a very foundation of our existence.
United for Land, Our Legacy, Our Future is the theme for this year's celebration. And for the Minister of State for Environment, it's about conservation and adopting land degradation neutrality, with emphasis on bush burning, overgrazing, and deforestation as parts of poor land practices that must be tackled.
I'm resolved to use our land in a more sustainable manner. We should not overexploit the land. Overgrazing should be avoided.
Take like 40 years before we can get close to address the level of degradation.
The day marks the 30th anniversary of the United Nations Convention to combat desertification and drought. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And still looking at the environment, by 2030, Nigeria is expected to successfully transform its key economic sectors to sustainable practices that will significantly reduce emissions. This was the focus at the validation of Nigeria's just and gender-inclusive transition framework. Ignatius Nkwo reports.
Nigeria's Just and Gender-Inclusive Transition is a program launched in November 2022, aimed at assisting Nigeria tackle the problem of climate change. The program is to also ensure that addressing climate change issues in Nigeria will not affect jobs and other socio-economic variables, and to ensure that climate policies and actions are effective, equitable and inclusive. The roadmap for the program has now been validated.
Also, Nigeria has set ambitious climate targets. As part of its NDCs, its nationally determined contribution under the Paris Agreement, important targets for 2030
is for us to develop and ensure that we link this with the sectoral MRV system and the enhanced transparency framework.
To develop these MRV tools to track the importance of the Paris Agreement with the focus on oil and gas, transportation, agricultural and forestry, and other land use sector.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Labour and Employment, Ismaila Abubakar, was clear on the ministry's commitment to ensuring a just transition to a low-carbon and just economy for Nigeria.
The need to ensure that the transition to low-carbon economies is fair and equitable, considering the needs of all the members of society, especially women and marginalized groups, towards achieving a more sustainable future for Nigeria.
At the end of the engagements, the committee is expected to make recommendations to the Federal Executive Council and a draft bill to the National Assembly. Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Let's look at education a bit now. Mathematics is one of the core subjects every student is expected to pass as a prerequisite requirement to proceed to pursue any academic endeavor at the tertiary level. Unfortunately, some students have phobia for this all-important subject. What exactly is the phobia for mathematics? How is it developed? How can it be tamed, considering the fact that mathematics is a necessity in everything we do as humans? Abubakar Musa will take it up from here.
Don't be afraid to make any mistake. If you are playing games, you play it for fun. So likewise, if you are resolving mathematics, do it for fun. Mathematics is the mother of all science courses.
For those of you out there still wondering what it takes for a person, especially students at the secondary school level, considered the most important period that determines career choice in the future, to become proficient in mathematics, these are some of the strategies as witnessed in some of the secondary schools. Is the phobia for mathematics within the secondary school students a myth or a reality? That's the question we went out to find out in Maiduguri.
Do you like the subject mathematics?
To be honest, I don't like it. Topics inside the subject is so hard.
I don't like my subject mathematics. It's very hard.
Many students hate it because we are lazy. Because I don't have this fear in my heart, actually.
What is the best way to conquer the phobia for mathematics is the question put to some mathematicians in Borno State.
Have interest in it, number one. If you have interest in it, that's the number one easiest way. Then keep practicing it on time.
Concentration and practice. You know, there is no any shortcut in mathematics. Practice makes perfect.
Mathematics is more of practice. So as far as they are practicing in daily basics, then they will understand much more.
Some of the students shared with the NTA the strategies adopted in conquering the phobia.
On this organization that we advise us, and now my fear is very less, and I want to learn this math very well.
I used to focus on it. When our teachers enter, I used to listen very well.
I changed my course to be mathematics. I read very well, and any assignment or homework, if teacher give us, inshallah, I go at home and do it.
Considering the strategic importance of mathematics in the training of various professionals in different sectors, how committed is the government to simplify the studies of mathematics, in effect contribute to taming the phobia known with its study?
We make it compulsory for every learner at the JSS level, JSS 1, 2, 3, to memorize four-figure table. Once you have this four-figure table, you have less to worry.
Practice, they say, makes perfect, while commitment to a cause, no matter how difficult, guarantees success at the end. That is what is playing out in Maiduguri as far as the study of mathematics among secondary school students is concerned. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
Well, thanks, Abubakar. I personally loved mathematics while in school. By the way, a friendly mathematics teacher would do the magic. Looking at other news now, no country has achieved continuous and rapid economic growth without at least 40% of its adults being literate. This is because literacy is recognized as a basic right and a basis for lifelong learning. It is in recognition of this fact that the national stakeholders' engagement towards achieving Pillar 4 of the Education for Renewed Hope Roadmap for the Nigerian education sector 2024 to 2027 was organized by the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education in Abuja. Olayinka Ojo reports.
This engagement by critical stakeholders in the education sector is calling for an urgent need to significantly reduce the number of youth and adult illiteracy in Nigeria.
The success of this laudable initiative depends on our collaboration, innovation, innovative approaches, and relentless dedication to ensuring that every Nigerian, young and old, is given unimpeded access to inclusive and quality education.
Literacy is not merely the ability to read or write, as it is the foundation upon which people build the future of empowering individuals, strengthening communities, and promoting sustainable development. To find out the true situation of these assertions, we decided to visit one of the mass education learning centers in the capital city, where we met 35-year-old Mary Udu and 30-year-old Sunday Mezi with big dreams. They never had the opportunity of going to school at their young age.
I want to be educated, to stand boldly, to speak among my friends, myself, and defend myself in society when I go out there. I don't want to be intimidated.
Well, in future, I would like to teach other people, like to be teacher too, so that they will learn from me the way I learned from here too.
Policies and strategies which undermine MNEC's youth and adult literacy eradication program over time have threatened genuine efforts at tackling the issue of out-of-school children in Nigeria. Minister of State for Education, Tanko Yusuf Sununu, urged all education policy implementers to try as much as possible to ensure adult and non-formal education is given adequate attention.
And the aim of Mr. President is to ensure that in the near future, Nigeria is proud to have an educated individuals who are armed with knowledge, character, and skill.
We should come out boldly, create a working system where the skills can now be, certificated.
The national stakeholders' engagement was also used to unveil the National Commission for Mass Literacy, Adult and Non-Formal Education's International Journal. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
Let's take another quick break. News Extra continues. The Nigerian Exchange Limited is a strong lead in digital transformation of the capital market, especially with the launch of offering digital platform that deepens digital infrastructure, reduces the human interface, and unlocks seamless investment opportunities in the capital market. Amaka Owo reports that this digital platform was unveiled during an interaction between the leadership of the NGX and Securities and Exchange Commission.
We have a trigger button that says skip this.
In a world driven by technology that has transformed the financial ecosystem in its entirety, the unveiling of the e-offering platform by the Nigerian Exchange Group is vital to navigating pathways of the capital market operations, using paperless digital innovations designed to meet yearnings of younger Nigerians set to constitute a significant part of the population.
So any bank that is coming to the market today has given you an opportunity that as you go on your mobile app of that bank, as you're doing your regular business, you would see their offer there. And once you click on that thing, in few steps, you'll be able to invest, and then it will speak to this technology that we have. It's a big blessing because that end-to-end, removing paper from our market, we can achieve it through the banks.
Our current strategy as a public for-profit holding company is to improve and deepen our digital infrastructure.
Investors who are going to buy all the shares will be able to sell their shares, will be able to even buy more of their shares.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, on its part, also created a digital platform to fast-track the payment of numerous unclaimed dividends.
At the press of a button, everyone that is entitled will receive what they're entitled to without any human touch. That's digitization. That is the future. That's where we are going to. So that there is no one that will interfere with your money.
The Nigerian Exchange Group and Securities and Exchange Commission jointly supports the recapitalization of banks that will deepen the market with the value of daily trade put at $7 million while leveraging collaborations from international investors. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
Another break is due. Stay with us.
This na Go TV, and now for here you fit watch better football from Mbappe. Ball wey Kane use the TNet, Ronaldo. And all the big boys wey go follow drag the who go be Oga of Europe. Now who go become the Baba of Europe? Watch all the 51 games live on Top Super Sport from Go TV Jolly to Super Plus and Go TV Stream. Euro 2024 live. It goes sweet on Top Go TV. Love it.
A quick peep at the foreign scene says that President Ruto of Kenya has declined to sign the finance bill to hike taxes in his country. Comfort Fashion has more on this and other stories on the global scene.
Kenyan President William Ruto has declined to assent the controversial Finance Bill 2024, the one that sparked protest across the country.
I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill.
This development is coming at a time when the protesters vow to continue demonstration, with governments mobilizing soldiers to assist the police in dealing with the security emergency. And in Australia, Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said Wednesday that he was very pleased by a plea deal that ended WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's long legal saga, allowing him to return home a free man. The WikiLeaks founder, Julian Assange, has landed in Australia, reunited with his family after walking free from a U.S. court. While Ukraine and Russia have exchanged 90 prisoners of war each in the biggest swap between the two warring sides in almost 5 months. The Russian Defense Ministry has said that 90 of its servicemen who were in danger of death in captivity have been returned from territory controlled by the Kyiv regime. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky also acknowledged on social media that 90 more of his men have returned home from Russian captivity. Comfort Fashion, NTA News.
It's exactly 30 days to the 2024 Olympics in France, with the host city of Paris buzzing already. NTA's build-up to the Games begins with a daily countdown to the 33rd Olympiad, and Badi Adeleye will be our guide.
Hello and welcome to the Paris 2024 Olympics countdown. Exactly 30 days from today, the best athletes in the world will convene in Paris, France for the 33rd Summer Olympics. And it will be right to begin our countdown with a bit of history. Now, since the Olympic Games emerged in ancient Greece some 3,000 years ago and got revived in the late 19th century, it has become the world's leading sporting competition, which comes every 4 years. The goal of the Olympic movement is to contribute to building a peaceful and better world through sports practiced without discrimination, but with friendship, solidarity, and fair play.
The Olympic movement is that place of peace and love where young men and women from all countries of the world can share and enjoy and compete together in a friendly manner.
I think it's very, very important, especially for third world countries. It has been an avenue for you to be able to galvanize the system, have great facilities to develop the game at different levels across different parts of Africa.
Well, with all that in mind, history will be made at the 2024 Olympics in France, as it will mark the centennial of the 1924 Games, also held in the city of Paris. That's a bit on the countdown for today. I am Badi Adeleye.
Many thanks, Badi. Now, Vice President Kashim Shettima has expressed optimism that Nigeria will attain the desired progress despite differences in religious and political beliefs. He was speaking in Kano while responding to messages from prominent Nigerians who condoled with him over the death of his mother-in-law, Hajia Mariam Al-Bashir. Abdullahi Mustafa has the details.
For 3 days, Vice President Kashim Shettima has been in Kano mourning his mother-in-law, late Hajia Mariam Al-Bashir. During the period, he received various personalities coming to condole with the bereaved family. A federal government delegation led by Chief of Staff to the President, Femi Bajabiamila, were among recent callers. Wife of the Senate President Ekaite Onoma Akpabio led another delegation to extend First Lady Oluremi Tinubu's message of condolence. Ministers, governors, deputy governors, federal and state lawmakers, members of the business community, including elder statesman Aminu Dantata, all came calling. The Vice President sees the visit by Nigerians of diverse political, religious and ethnic backgrounds as an indication of patriotism and unity in diversity. He also thanked the government and people of Kano State for the hospitality.
Everybody who comes here is very much welcomed by the governor of Kano State. We are more beyond politics. We are now in the pace of governance. And what binds us together supersedes whatever that divides us.
Special prayers were earlier offered for late Hajia Mariam Al-Bashir. While in Kano, the Vice President and National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Abdullah Umar Ganduje, who also lost his mother-in-law, exchanged condolence visits. In Kano, Abdullah Mustafa, NTA News.
And we got cheering news just reaching us that the federal government and ASU have reached an agreement. The federal government and the academic staff union of universities this Wednesday had a closed-door meeting, and agreement has been reached on all contentious issues. So that's News Extra tonight. That's News Extra tonight. Many thanks for being a part of it. Do have a good night.